So I don't know, things that I want to talk about because a friend came over last night and it's someone who I saw 2 weeks ago, and I'm not too sure if this video is going to end up being on a private setting or not, because I think it depends on what I say, and right now I feel like I have a lot to say, and I'm not too sure what I'm allowed to say because it's a bit confusing. But yeah. I saw him last week, and I was very kind of confused because he seemed very like panicked or very scared of something, and I guess I spent most of the day trying to work out like what his life was like and what his job was like, and I felt like throughout the whole time he was being lied to by a bunch of people or something, because me and him have a very different worldview, and he has a worldview on how the world sees the world. That's how I feel, like that the world sees the world as being like, there's a triangle, there's people at the top, there's people at the bottom. He still saw himself as actually being someone quite low down, and then he has a company that he works for, and then their company is he thinks their company is funded by BlackRock, and BlackRock is something that I wanted to know a lot about because I know absolutely nothing about it other than a small connection with Rihanna and Jay-Z, and that's pretty much all I know about BlackRock. But I guess I know that there's something to hide behind people, and he was kind of confirming this, but he couldn't really tell me much about BlackRock because he didn't really know himself. But after having a very long conversation with him yesterday, I think that his intelligent level is quite high because he has a very good way of seeing things, or good. I don't know. He was giving me lots of interesting information, and I felt like I was learning what I've remembered and what I haven't remembered. I can't really say. But yeah, last week I was very confused because when it comes to a lot of things, I feel like he's quite intelligent. But when it comes to me being God, I feel like he's just got like no ability to believe. Like he's trying to accept it, and he's trying to acknowledge that I have beliefs that might or might not be wrong, and he's not saying that I'm wrong, he's just not saying that I'm right either, and therefore any conversation that we have, it's all based on the belief that I'm not God and that I'm just a small person. So he was suggesting that maybe he could get like a Chinese company to perhaps send out, because I was thinking my exposure or rise to power is going to come through putting out some sort of social media post where it looks like where 1,000 people post about how they believe that I'm Christ, and he said, well, that could be done very easily. You just need to pay a Chinese company to put out these ads, but yeah. If you believed that I was Christ, you would believe that actually I have an army right now, and I have a real army, and these are real people, real singers, real celebrities, real everyone. I believe all the singers. I don't know who knows about me and who doesn't, but I know that there are thousands of people, producers, maybe people in Hollywood. I don't know who knows. But I know that there's a whole bunch of people who know that I'm Christ, and I don't know why they're ignoring me, and I don't know why they're cutting me off, and I don't know why they're ignoring the fact that I'm having a horrible, shitty life, and if I died tomorrow, I'd probably just want to murder everyone because I do not like humans because they've given me a horrible life. I will give you a nice life if you give me a nice life, and the fact that I've not had a nice life just makes me want to give everyone not a nice life, because this is what you've done to me. This is how the world works. You treat others in the way that you feel that they treated you, and then if you feel they've treated you wrongly, you want to treat others wrongly. And I know that it's not about that, it's about making people happy, but I've been trying to do that for a long time, and I just feel like no one gives a shit about me because I don't understand why no one's showing up at my door and saying, yes, we believe you. So I've had to live through an absolute hell. He doesn't understand that because he generally doesn't believe that anyone believes that I'm God. He generally doesn't think that that this is true. So for him, a good advice for me would be to get a Chinese company to put out a bunch of fake ads. There's some people putting ads out that Elon Musk is has married an alien or something like that, and I don't know who's doing that. I don't know who's doing that. Is it a real person? Is it AI? I don't know. But yeah, his suggestion to me was that, and therefore I know that his worldly view is based on a worldly view and I'm not part of the worldly view. People don't know about me, and then therefore it's like he's got a lot of intelligence and a lot of things to say, and I'm learning a lot. But when it comes to me being God, he just doesn't believe it. So he would want to know, like, how am I going to make my life better through my own means, through my own, and maybe he's right. I have to acknowledge that maybe I am just going to have a horrible, shitty life, in which case I think the world is going to have a very horrible future. But I don't believe that's the truth. I believe that you are at some point going to help me, and I think you've caused me my life's shit, and I feel like it would be very hard for me to care about people because of what I've gone through, and I don't know why you've allowed this to happen to me if you really are watching my videos. So in some ways it makes sense if no one's watching my videos, if I'm just a nobody that's just disappeared into the middle of nowhere, and no one's listening to me and no one's watching my videos and no one gives a shit. If no one has known what I'm going through, and this is the reason why, he's convinced that Blackrock has no clue who I am. That I felt like that was 100% how he thought, and because of that, and I sensed that 2 weeks ago, that that the people he works for aren't interested in me. The people above him, they've got bigger concerns. I'm God, sorry, why would they? So because of that, I felt like he wasn't very intelligent, because his worldview was basically just a typical worldview of people. But on the other hand, yesterday was really nice, and I learned a lot, because I got to learn about what people's worldviews are. And yeah, making money, getting rich, getting to the top, getting as much money as possible, getting as much power as possible. This is a very worldly view, and there's a lot of people that think this way. I don't believe he's like that. He's got a big investment in a company that I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel like big projects might not be so big if there is going to be a population collapse coming, and the population is going to be far less, and therefore, after listening about his circumstances, I feel like he's in a bit of a pyramid scheme. That there is clearly some BlackRock or whatever, someone who's incredibly rich, owns basically all the banking systems. You have to have someone that owns all the banking systems, because then you could properly regulate the banking systems. Now, you can't have, some countries just making up money and stuff. And I think that's Saudi Arabia is a topic that we talked about. He hadn't really met any Saudi Arabians, so couldn't actually give any personal input. I believe I have met one. I'm not 100% sure it was, but I think the guy who bought me my iPhone was Mohammed BS, and I can't really remember. My memory's bad. But yeah, I don't know what to say about that, but he seemed to understand that. He agreed with me, because I thought that they had the strong government at the top, and they were, selling oil and stuff, and they were incredibly rich because they had all the oil money, and then they were putting the oil money into, creating hospitals, giving people free healthcare, free cleans, free schools. I don't know what comes free, but there's a long list of things. So he's got a triangle of his own, and he's helping his people using the oil money. They're happy because they don't feel like they're spending their own money on this stuff. And I feel like when it comes to this country, it's a very good plan to do this, but I feel like these people might have a false sense of security. I don't have to pay taxes, I don't have to do this, I don't have to do this, I don't have to do this. It's just like, well, yeah, you don't have to do this because of the oil that lies in your country. Now, if you were to come to this country, he said that very few people, Saudi Arabians, have come to European countries. They stay to Saudi. Why would you not? Why would you leave if you've got all that free? And if it's run properly, they've got a strong government, and the government actually cares about its people, or cares enough about its people so that they don't cause riots or problems, and I feel like that works, and that's good. But we can't do that in England, because we don't have the resources. We don't have free oil to just sell so that we can just do everything for our people, because there's a lot of people in England, and I think they want the government to do everything. There's this growing migrant problem of just lots and lots of foreigners coming in here and changing our way, preventing us from putting our own flag up, which is crazy. This is our country. If you're immigrating into our country, you should be immigrating into the flag that our country represents. The flag represents this piece of land. Now, if you've chosen to move into this piece of land, then you have to represent the flag that represents that piece of land. And it's the same with America. If I moved into America and expected them to stop putting up the American flag and start putting up the British flag, what? That's crazy. I would never do that. And both are quite pretty, so I'm happy to accept that. I've even had a towel that was in the American flag, and I wore that for ages because I was a big fan of American movies. So I've always wanted to be in America because of the great movies that they had when I was growing up. I guess Sabrina, Buffy, and Charmed were the main reasons why I wanted to live in America, because you'd watch those films and be like, oh wow, that's so much better than England, and yeah, I've got a completely false perspective of what America was like, though. It was only when I did go to Florida quite a few times, and we had, there was quite a lot of things, I like the canoeing and the Disneylands, and the sort of rush of, is there going to be a hurricane? I kind of found it all exciting. I think, though, that the hurricanes are getting worse and worse each year, though, so that they're becoming less and less exciting. But when I was 12, the idea of being in a mild hurricane that might damage a couple of buildings, this was kind of exciting. I think the possibility, though, that these hurricanes are going to just destroy like huge chunks of land, I think that's actually, but that's when it starts becoming dangerous. And I think the same can be said with Islam. The idea of there being a couple of people here wearing head scarves, it's a little bit exciting. But as soon as you just start seeing crowds of Muslims, then you start being like, have they got like knives? Are they walking around with knives? Like, how do I know if they've got a knife or not? I don't know. And so yeah, a little bit of danger is fine, a lot is not fine, and I just, yeah. But when it came to America, I didn't see any problem. I loved how they celebrated Halloween a lot more than England, and I loved the films. So I've always wanted to live in America for that reason. Yeah. Visiting Hollywood, though, was very, very much of a disappointment, because of the huge amount of homelessness people that were there, and the sort of, I don't know, the rules. I feel like they've got loads of rules that benefit only the rich, and I feel like the poor don't really get much of a say. So I think there's a lot of things going wrong in that country, but there's a lot of things going wrong in England now. It's like, I need somewhere I need to have some dreams of something better, and I feel like right now my dreams of better is just in my next life. I can't wait till I die and then I become Lily, because I've got a feeling, though, she might be brought up in some sort of farm in the middle of nowhere in China. I don't know. I'm kind of hoping that's not my life, because I don't really want to live in a farm in the middle of nowhere. But at the same time, because I hate humans, if that ends up happening, I don't know what will happen. But yeah, I want a better life next time, and I'm really disappointed with how everything's gone. And I liked listening to him because he had a very good worldview, but I felt like he was constantly only seeing the worldview from how the world currently sees it. And, I believe that I'm God. And this Black Rock, I don't know who they are, but I believe they know about me. And are they helping me? I don't know. Everything he was saying kind of was on the indication that they don't know about me, that they only care about wealth, that this is maybe if anything, they might be the reason why I'm being hidden, because they know that whatever I'm going to do is going to end up causing mass hysteria, it's going to end up causing some sort of third world war, and they don't want to lose their wealth. I mean, is that the truth? Is that genuinely the truth, that they wouldn't want to lose their wealth by helping someone reduce the population? Because if the population's reduced, their wealth is going to be reduced. Do they know that? Yes, I'm sure they do. Do they care? I don't think they care. I think they know that the world is bad enough, and they don't care. But I guess that's not what the worldly view is, and that's not what this guy's view is. So last week when I was talking about him, and he was also very paranoid about, well, I was paranoid that I was not paranoid. I thought they were recording, and maybe we were in where he took me because they were wanting to like record, and he was certain that they weren't, that he got some sort of device that stops all recording, so prevented people. But to me that just sounded like that they got like some third party to come in and to sell in this device on the belief that it worked when really it didn't work. I mean, I don't even understand how this device would work, because it's like, yeah, I mean, if they did that to film our conversation, and they couldn't, they're going to want to know why. And if they couldn't, then why would they have done this? I mean, surely you've had this device for a while, so they know that you have this device. So and he didn't seem to I don't know. There was a lot of things that just made me ask more questions. Let's just say that made me ask more questions, and I was getting very confused as to like what was going on, or what he was going on, what was going on in his life, and I couldn't really remember. My memory's bad, so anything he told me, I felt like I didn't remember much, and therefore I was just left a bit confused. You know, I mean, yeah. I didn't know what to say about it, and I still don't know what to say of it or make of it. So, but yeah, I do like this guy because I felt like I learned a lot through what he was saying. But yeah, everything in regards to me, he just seems to like block it. I don't know. There seems to be some sort of block. And so yeah, I was listening to his worldview of stuff. You know, there's a big pyramid, people at the top, other companies, and people buying up houses, and but the only reason why they had the money to buy these big houses was because they were borrowing money from other people, but these other people only had money because of, you know, maybe richer people, and then they only had money because of richer people, and I guess BlackRock was supposed to be something at the top. So there seems to be like some sort of pyramid scheme, but if the people at the top want to like destroy you, you know, if you have a house that's worth £1 million and you only have a, you know, £300,000 investment in it, technically the people you're working for are actually using you because they're making money out of it. You know, we'll help you if you help us. We'll help you by giving you this giant mortgage. You have to get people in, you have to make sure they pay. I mean, technically he didn't actually do any of that. He got an agency to run this, and they took 10%, but if they don't pay, then they pay for the rent, but then they start charging 25% to try and make up for the loss. So they do pay, but they pay for any missed rent, but they because there's quite a lot of things in the housing market that I would like to know, because I wanted to get into the housing market, so we had quite a long conversation about the housing market and how it works, and I felt like I learned a lot from that, and because I felt like I learned a lot from that, I do see him as being intelligent, because I felt like what he was saying was the truth, and that he was able to teach me a lot through how the housing market works, because I want to buy a property and rent it out, but I do worry that what happens if they don't pay the rent. You know, how am I actually going to get them to pay? You know, if it's a house on my street and they stop paying, you know, I can go around there every single day and harass them. So okay, they might start calling the police and the government won't be on my side. I'm aware of that. I hate the government, but whatever. I know that I can make it unpleasant for them to be in there if I'm visiting them every day. So that's why I feel safe buying a property on my house, on my street. I wouldn't want to buy a property in a different country, because if they stop paying the rent, I would have no way of actually forcing them to pay. So I'm happy with it being close. And but yeah, I was wanting to know like how, like what happens if they don't pay, and I guess because they have an agency that deals with it, you know, it does make me question like, what does this agency do? You know, if the agency, they said the worst experience he had was someone that lived there for 4 months, but he had this sort of agreement with the with this company that if the tenant doesn't pay rent, if the tenant doesn't pay rent, then then basically they have to, if the tenant doesn't pay rent, then the company that's managing it will pay it, but they'll get the money back through the following month and the following month. But he had this arrangement where if they don't pay for 3 months, don't tell him, because he didn't want to know. He had other things, he was doing other things. I don't know what he was involved with doing, but I felt like he was learning a lot, and I felt like he has enjoyed whatever he's been doing, and he probably was doing a fairly good job. I don't really know. I feel like he's whatever he's done has now made him far more scared of the world. So maybe I'm wondering if that's the real reason why he lost his job, because he was becoming more and more fearful of what might happen if he gets too involved with the wrong people. That's my my view, or maybe I don't know. He said he lost his job because his position got compromised, but I feel like it was more because of fear, of paranoia or something. I don't know. I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to say that, but yeah. I don't know. I can't give information because I myself feel like he doesn't know stuff. But yeah, I most of it. I think a lot of his work was buying buying a bunch of properties and getting management companies to operate them, and if they don't pay the rent, the managed company has to get them. I don't know how the managing companies get people to pay the rent. If you've got £1,000 or £2,000 of rent to pay each month and you stop paying, like what does the agency do to get them out? Apparently with the Somalians that were there for 4 months, they did just leave, so they didn't actually need to beat them up or anything. But at the same time, it does make me wonder, how does he know that they weren't beaten up? How does he know that the agency didn't have to go in? I would love to know that question. How many agencies have found that they've got tenants in their houses and they stop paying the rent and they have to literally send someone around to beat them up to get them out? I mean, how many times has that happened? Because I want to know that, because this is the reason why I don't want to go into the property market any longer, because I feel like if you buy a property and the people stop paying rent and you've got a massive mortgage to pay, or if you're a company that's taken on properties and on the belief that you are going to rent the properties out, and if they stop paying, well, you're going to have to get someone in there to beat them out. How many criminal stuff like that happens because the law doesn't protect you. The law is not going to help you get your money, so because of that you have to turn to violence as a way of or threats to get them out. And I don't know what the statistics are, because I don't believe that the government is giving the right kind of information. I don't trust anything that the government is doing right now, so I don't know what's going on in the government. And he might have a better idea. I mean, I don't even think he's got a better idea of the government, actually. He's got a very worldly view of things. So his view on the government was just that they are just thinking about themselves, which, okay, I kind of think that too, but I feel like there's a lot going on, and I don't know if he necessarily knows, because I feel like there's like a series of companies that work for companies, and really it's all the people at the top that have bought the politicians and have bought the politicians on their side. And I think he was saying a lot about like this sort of pyramid structure, and I was trying to work in my head like, what do I think is the truth and what do I not think is the truth, and it's complicated. It's very complicated. I know he wasn't allowed to see me for a long time, or for the last 5 years, because I make videos like this, and I have absolutely no fear of BlackRock at all. Do you know why? Because I'm God. Do I think that I can kill them and turn them into animals? No, I don't actually. If someone's got a high intelligence level, I don't believe that I can kill them and turn them into an animal, because I don't because the soul has to be similar to the intelligence level of the body that it's in, and if the intelligence level is too high, I don't think I can put them inside an animal. So I can't threaten them. I don't believe I can threaten them by turning them into an animal if they have genuine intelligence. Because when I created the timeline, I couldn't go into the animal bodies. I had to wait millions of years. I don't know how long it took for humans to evolve, or I don't know how long it took for Neanderthals to evolve, but I believe that it was long. I do believe that the Neanderthals took a very long time to evolve, and the reason why I couldn't come any earlier was because my soul was too intelligent for the species. So I had to wait until there was an intelligent Neanderthal. Only then could I come down. Only then could I start the process of creating humans through trying to get them to be similar to me, I guess. So I couldn't go any. There was a certain point that I could not go, and likewise, I feel like if there is a pyramid scheme, the people at the top are probably going to be the most intelligent people. So can I turn them into an animal? Probably not. But can I give them a heart attack? Maybe. I think maybe I can. I don't know. I feel like I might be able to give people heart attacks. I think I could scare the fuck out of them if they knew the sort of connections and time traveling and the spiritual link that I have. So yeah, when it came to this guy, I felt like he didn't believe any of that he didn't, if I was to try and convince the world that I was Christ, the only way I could do it was through a Chinese company that was putting out false information. I mean, that to me felt like the only way he thought I could get out, not actual real people that actually really believe stuff. But maybe that's how it should be. I don't know. I mean, I think I should get 1,100 people to first say that AJ Miller is the real Jesus, and then I'm going to spend a year recovering, and maybe the secret army can try and reduce the threat of dangerous Islamists, of killing people. You know, if AJ Miller is seen as like the fake temporary antichrist thing, you know, I don't care if he dies. I'm not on AJ Miller's side. He wasn't very nice to me, so I don't really care. But yeah, if you promote him as being the real Jesus, and then a year later say that, you know, the real Christ is here, maybe it should be done by the singers and celebrities or the people that know about me, because I don't know, I still don't know who knows about me. Maybe it should be done by the promotion of them, or maybe it should be done by the maybe it should be done by a Chinese company that could just be pushing out fake information. I don't know. I mean, if people think that it's just a Chinese company that's putting out fake information, then no one's going to believe that I'm Christ or God. But maybe that should be should be how I rise, by people just thinking, oh, this is nothing. This is just some sort of Chinese AI fake company or something. I don't know. But yeah, I want that to go out, and for there to be some sort of test on whether or not people believe. He, however, I don't know if he believes or not, but I like him either way. So I don't care. But you know, I feel like it should also be intelligent. You know, if someone's useful, if someone's smart, if someone's intuitive, if someone knows or stuff, even if they don't believe in me, that's not a reason for them to go. There's a test, and whoever's at the top of this pyramid, they understand that people who don't believe that I'm Christ, people who would insult me or mock me or worse, attack me, which is a lot of the terrorists would probably attack me, because they're right at the bottom of the pyramid and they want to get rid of me because they know that I'm going. If you think I'm going to kill you, then I feel like there's a higher chance that you might want to kill me. And therefore, if someone wants to murder me, I feel like it's a sign that actually they feel this way about me because I feel this way about them. You know, when it comes to the non-Muslim versus Muslim, well, there's a Muslim in the, imagine dot of just this side being Muslim, Muslims, this side being non-Muslims. Now, the people in the middle are like either just like Muslims or Muslim sympathizers or Muslim supporters, and then you have Muslim sympathizers, and then you have Muslim haters over here, and here you have strong Muslims. So here you have strong Muslims, here you have strong Muslim haters. If there's like a line, a chart, and you've got strong Muslim haters here and strong Muslim lovers there, or Islamic lovers there, should I say, and then you have a line, you know, this is a pyramid. Now, if you have people that are like that living together, things will be fine. If you have people living like that living together, things will be fine. If you have people living like that, it will be fine. Although these people might be dangerous, so you might need a really strong government to kind of like make sure that the death penalty is definitely valid if they do anything wrong. But they can also control the people by making them happy. If you've got oil, I guess that oil is going to be something you need to try and keep the people happy, whilst actually they are really just enjoying the fact that they're not paying for whatever services they're getting, when really the only reason why they can do that is because of the oil. So if these people were to move to a different country and weren't going to get the oil or the free services paid for by the oil, you know, they probably might become dangerous. So you know, I don't know, but there is lots of different stages of whether how Muslim or hate, how Muslim supporter, how much of a Muslim supporter you are versus how much of a Muslim hater you are. And if the Muslim lovers go to a place like England, I think it is going to turn into war, because there's a lot of Muslim haters in England. And when you have Muslim haters living with Muslim lovers, that's when clashes happen. That's when the police probably don't know which side to turn, but I think they will probably start fearing the Muslim lovers, because a lot of them support terrorism and stuff. So, you know, they're going to start clashing with the other Muslim haters. They hate it too, but at the same time, it's easier to arrest a Muslim hater than a Muslim lover. If you try to arrest a Muslim lover, you might find yourself getting killed. If you support a Muslim hater, you could probably just get yourself out of there and use that as an excuse to be like, yeah, I'm no longer there. I'm doing my duties somewhere else. That's probably what the police officer's doing, to be honest. Yeah, there's problems when Muslim lovers start living with Muslim haters, and that's when wars start happening. So. Yes, then it probably needs to be a year where I recover and I go live in some nice house somewhere, and there's some sort of hidden army that deals with the people that are most likely Muslim lovers, and you can put AJ Miller as the thing, and yeah, and I feel like this is what's going to happen. But Yeah, I think that the friend who I was speaking to was very intelligent. He just had a completely world view on what the world believes, and the world does not know about me and to support me, and therefore anything I tried to do to try and convince them that I was Christ, to me it felt like his only view was that I would just need to put out fake information, which is currently the world view right now. So but I like this guy. I do. I generally like this guy, so I hope no harm comes to him.